We will continue to make a displacer piston that will be placed inside the crankcase. So I will choose the camera angle, cover, and then we will hide the cover. So I will select the cover. There is a shortcut to hide a selected object. If we right click here, we see that we can use control space. So I will use control space to hide the cover. Then we will add a cylinder that will be the displacer piston, and we will put it here inside this hole. So I will right drag a cylinder, right drag, and we will place it here on the center point. But if you don't see the center point, or if you don't find the center point, you can move the cursor to this edge, and then you press and hold the shift key. So when the edge is highlighted in green, you can let go the right mouse button, and here you choose drop as part, and the cylinder will be placed in the center of that hole. And then we will change the diameter of the cylinder. So I will grab this handle and make it a lot smaller, and then I will grab this handle and drag the cursor or move the cursor to this edge of the hole, and here I press and hold the shift key to snap to this edge. So when it snaps, I will let go the left mouse button, and we have the right diameter of 31 millimeters. Then I will grab this handle and push, and we will change the thickness to 30 and hit enter. And then we will add some materials. So I will move the camera so that we see this piston from above. And to add materials, we will come over here to select the spin wizard. We select that command, and then we click here on the center point, and here we will click next to add material, and it should spin 360 degrees, and we choose along the selected surface. Then I can click finish, and we got the grid. But we don't see the piston right now, and that's because here in options I have selected hide edited part. But in this case we will choose display all so that we see the piston. And then we will project this face to the grid. So we come up here to select project, this command, and we click here on the face, and then we press escape to exit the project command. Then we grab this endpoint and snap it to the origin. And to draw the profile we will use a polyline. So I will come up here to select polyline, and I will click here on this endpoint. And I will drag it in this direction perpendicular to the x-axis and along the green dotted guideline. Then I right click and type 2 millimeters. Then I will drag it perpendicular in this direction and right click, and I type 8, hit enter. Then I drag it perpendicular in this direction and right click and type 9.3 and hit enter. And then I drag it in this direction perpendicular to the y-axis and right click and type 5, hit enter. And then in this direction right click and type 4 and hit enter. Now we can press escape to end the line, or you can also drag perpendicular to the y-axis and click here but to end the line. But in this case I will use escape to end the line here. Then we right click and choose finish drawing, and IronCAD will add the line so it will be a closed profile. Now we will round some edges, and we will use blend to do that. I will select the piston and use the S key to get the pop-up floaty menu. Select blend, and here in radius we will type 1 millimeter. Select this edge and this edge and this one and that edge. Then we right click and click OK. We will also make a piston rod that will be attached to the piston. So we need to open the crankcase so that we can see inside the crankcase. And so we need a tool to make a cutaway. And we find that tool here up in Tools panel and Section Part. But to use the section part we have to select the part first. So I will select the crankcase. Then I can click here to select Section Part. Then if we come over to the properties, we have to select section tool type, and it will be parallel to face. And we also click this button to define section tool, where to place the section tool. So I will click this button, and then I will click here on this center point. So now we see that we have the section tool, and this arrow is pointing toward the crankcase. But here in the options, we can also change the direction of arrow. So if I click this button, it will reverse the orientation, but it should be pointing toward the crankcase. Then I click OK, and nothing happens. And that's because the section tool is now outside the crankcase. So I will come over to the scene browser, select the section tool, then I will turn on the tribal, and I will grab this handle and push, and now we can make a cutaway in real time, and I will drop it there. Then I will right click this handle and choose the center point of this hole. Then I turn off the tribal. So now we can add the piston rod. So I will come over to the catalog to left drag a cylinder, and I will drop it here on the center point, and I will change the diameter to 5, and we will also blend this edge. So I will select the piston and use the S key to select blend, and it should be 1 millimeter here in radius box. So I will select this edge and I will hit enter to confirm the command. Now the piston will be placed 1 millimeter from the bottom here inside the crankcase. So I will select the piston and turn on the tribal. Then I will right click this handle and choose edit distance from point, but I cannot select the bottom, and that's because we're not allowed to go inside the crankcase right now. The section tool doesn't allow us to do that. It's just like a window right now. So I will turn off the tribal. So for example, if I were to add an extrude shape on this face, if I drag an extrude shape and drop it here, I cannot do that, because now if I drop the extrude shape here, it will be placed on the outside of the crankcase, because you could say that this wall is right now like a window. To change that setting, you have to come over here to the section tool and right click, and here we have precise mode. Right now we see that the edges of this cutaway has red color. So if I click precise mode, it will turn to black. And now we have removed the window. But we still have the preview of the side of the crankcase. And to remove this green face, we come up to the Tools tab and we will click Recreate Display, and it will disappear. So now when the edges has a black color, now we can go inside the crankcase. The window is removed, so to speak. So now I can select the piston and turn on the tribal, and I can right click this handle and choose edit distance from point and 1 millimeter and hit enter. So now the piston is placed 1 millimeter from the bottom in the crankcase. And then I will turn off the tribal. I also have to extend the piston rod a little bit, so I will go to the IntelliShape level, grab this handle and press and hold the control key to snap, and it will go to 72 millimeters. Eventually we will add a bracket here on this piston rod, and then we will mount a connecting rod to the bracket and to this crank disc. So eventually I'm sure we have to change the length of the piston rod, but for now we will leave it as it is. Then I will come over to the scene browser, and here I will right click and choose suppress to hide the section tool. And now we will bring back the cover, so I will use shift space to bring back the cover, and then I will also select the piston and come over to the properties to change the name here to displacer piston. Copy the name and paste it here, and the part number will be 110, and I will paint it with this color. Then I will go back to top front right and fit scene, and then I will save the scene, and we will continue in the next video.